Northeast Tonight, brought to you by Oil India Limited, conquering newer horizons.
Hello and welcome to Notice Tonight, the show that decodes the region. We are living in unprecedented times, experiencing a crisis at a scale never witnessed before. Therefore, there is no game plan or a standard operating procedure available on the response and handling of COVID-19. The only certainty in the current environment of uncertainty is that the world, unlike what it had been so far, has changed and continues to change rapidly every day. In the era of globalization and interconnectivity, the disruption, discontinuity, and upheaval due to COVID-19 have impacted all aspects of our lives and continue to push every one of us towards a new normal. What could this new normal look like? How is it going to impact our daily lives? Will trade and industry, the health and education sector, the tourism and hospitality industry be able to absorb the impact of this new normal? Even people's behavior has changed. For example, we may not greet each other with a handshake or a hug for a long time to come. To discuss the subject, I am joined from New Delhi by actor Adil Hussain. In Shillong, I have Tripura royal and political activist Pradyut Debbarman. Joining me from Itanagar is Jarpum Gamlin, a political and social activist. From Guwahati, I am joined by Rajiv Gupta, a technocrat and entrepreneur, and at the studios with me is popular actor Kopil Bora. Gentlemen, welcome to Notice Tonight. Let me go to you straight in New Delhi, Mr. Adil Hussain. Adil, we are pushed, as I said, to a new normal. COVID has, made our lives absolutely topsy-turvy. What is the new normal in your words? How do you predict what could be the new normal?
I don't know. That is the answer, actually.
But as an actor, we have imagination. As a person, we have imagination as well. So imagination is the only aspect, and that imagination is dependent on the kind of life that we are leading right now. I can only speak from my experience. I'm not a sociologist. I'm not a social psychologist or anything. But being in the profession of acting, human behavior is my subject. And I try my best to speculate on those aspects. So the definition of normal is also constantly evolved since the time, since the beginning of human history. The Industrial Revolution changed our normalcy, the life that we lead. The opening of the Indian market economy to the world has changed our normal. What was normal before has become new normal after the economy had opened up. And then when the digital satellite television came in, the exposure of common people towards different content from across the globe, the idea of living life, the kind of food that we eat, the kind of entertainment that we were able to watch.
Absolutely.
So all those things have influenced our behavior and the idea of living what is normal. So I think that human beings are extremely resilient and creative people as a whole. Otherwise, we wouldn't have survived till today, from the cavemen to the modern people that we call ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we will find a way out.
We we will find a way out, Adil. Human beings, the Homo sapiens are creative, and actors are a tad more creative than the ordinary Homo sapiens. We have two actors on the panel. We'll talk about that. Pradyut Dev Burman, Pradyut Dev Burman, you are, a politician. You are today a political and social activist. We are talking about how the new normal could look like, how is it going to impact trade and business, what could be the hospitality industry. But before we go into all of that, first the most important question, can we expect our politicians to behave differently? What will be the new normal for the political class? Pradyut.
Well, you said, Wasbir, first of all, you said there are two actors in the panel. There are three actors. Politicians are the best actors.
That is a good one, yes.
Let's be very honest. Yeah, and we act 365 days. We don't have any shifts. We are constantly on the act. But let me be very honest. I think the way of communication has to change. Whether it is films, or if you now today look at the way public leaders communicate with the masses, our mode of communication will change. Not the messaging, but let's be very honest, economy will be the biggest indicator on how society moves, and any public leader will move on the basis of the sentiments of the society.
Right.
So the world, as we know, has changed. But most importantly, I think in absence of direct contact, how do we reach out to the people will be the key.
Okay, how you reach out to the people, but there's a very interesting, way of starting. Politicians are the best actors. I'll come to Jarpom Gamli and all that, whether you are continuing with your acting classes or not, how will you behave after the lockdown? Jarpom, I'm coming to you. But before that, Rajiv Gupta, you are a technocrat, you are an entrepreneur. The world is changing, isn't it? A lot of technology is going to be used. Are you a worried man or are you excited? Rajiv.
Very excited. I think the new normal is going to become a lot of things which are going to become constant. And the fact that a lot of our humans have to understand, both from an emotional quotient and an emotional intelligence point of view, that the new constants will remain to become constants for a long time, or I would say the new normals will be constants for a long time. With that, trade and commerce, businesses will have to change dramatically. If we remember the days when computerization took place, small and medium businesses often went off and said that we have now computerized, or we now have a computer. They all digitized for increasing efficiency. I think people, businesses will now have to digitize to increase operations or run their operations efficiently.
Okay.
There is no way that they can continue to run their operations
so the long and short,
in traditional manners.
Rajiv, the long and short is that a lot of technology and automation is going to happen. We'll elaborate and expand on that. Kopil Bora, how is life going to be according to you? What is your prediction? And you have heard Adil, Homo sapiens are very creative people, actors are as well. So how do you like to begin?
And he's the most creative amongst us. But coming back to us actors in general, I think this period is kind of an abnormal period for us because we are off work since a long time now in Assam, especially with CA and CAB and everything. Things had come to a grinding halt. And now, because of the pandemic, all shoots have come to an end. And I think that the normal now will be empty cinema halls, empty auditoriums. So as of now, I think that will be the normal for us actors, professional actors. We won't be going to the studios. We won't be going to our shoots locations. But yes, we'll be at home watching a lot of good content and at the same time analyzing our craft and, planning and preparing for the future to do good job, to do good work in the future. I think that would be the normal for us actors on a personal level, yes.
Absolutely. We'll expand on that. Jarpum Gamlin, another politician on the panel, Mr. Pradut Debbarman, saying that politicians are the best actors. He was responding to my introductory remarks saying that I have two panelists, who are actors today. So, how is your acting lessons? Because do you think the political class will emerge better actors after the lockdown?
In fact, I think Pradyut is right. I think politicians are better actors, I think. And most of the acting, if you look at the classic movies, you'll find that, most of the actors actually, they have taken a role of like Caesars or Mark Antony, these are the politicians of the Greek history. And I think most of the classics, earlier classics were based on their acting. So having said that, I think be it Pradyut or myself, I think we are not very good at acting as a politician. Therefore, perhaps we are still a fringe actor in the political arena.
Okay.
However, having said that, I believe this post-COVID, I think situation is still evolving, and we really don't know what would be the new normal. However, I think given the involvement of technology, given the new set of communication that we need to find, I think this post-COVID might throw up an entire new set of politicians, who are more tech savvy, who are more communicating.
Okay, let us wait and watch. It's only we hope it's a matter of time, but we don't know how the virus behaves, how it mutates. Adil Hussain, people in the entertainment industry, for example, it might be a little difficult for the actors, but as far as the singers are concerned, they have already, devised, they have already been very creative, they have adapted to the situation, and there are virtual concerts going on all over the web. Virtual concerts. But for actors, it might be a little more difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. But I just recently, I haven't read it myself, but a friend of mine who read it, an article which most probably came out on BBC website somewhere, they said that there is a proposal that if screen them, a medical screening will happen, and then they will be taken to a location where they're going to shoot the film. They'll be quarantined during that shoot time, and then after they finish the shoot, they will be medically screened again, and then they will stay for the required days of to check if there is any symptom of any kind of COVID-19 symptom, and then they will let them go. So, as I said, that we will find a way out to also start shooting. I have already gotten proposal a few times. This is yesterday was the first time that I got another proposal to act in a film, which they think will be able to start in August. So, in September. So I don't think that world is going to stop. But if you allow me, Wasbir, what I would like to also add to it, that new normal, what it has taught me is to find a way out. Right now, for example, that till today in Delhi, it was 39 degrees almost. I haven't started switching on the AC yet. Started looking at water conservation, wastage conservation, resource conservation. So I think we would need a radical shift. And there is a wonderful letter which has been reported yesterday. I read it by few very famous actors, scientists, astrophysicists, has written, including Juliette Binoche, that what was normal before was abnormal.
Now,
because the kind of wastage that we have done, the kind of destruction which has happened in the name of development across the globe, we must not go back to that normal which used to be normal.
Absolutely. Now, if I can get those pictures of the world leaders greeting people with a namaskar, we could see Prince Charles. See, I'll like to draw the attention what is going on the screen. Pradyut Dev Burman, there we have seen some of the world leaders greeting each other. That is, President Trump greeting a visitor with another of his counterparts with Namaskar. That is Prince Charles greeting people with Namaskar. Pradyut Dev Burman, I mean, this is shocking, isn't it? What was started by our Prime Minister has become a global trend, and this is also almost like a new normal. Pradyut.
Wasbir, Namaste was not started by Modi ji. It has been in our Indian culture for centuries.
No, just don't take it literally.
Second thing,
don't take it
let's
literally.
not give it.
Don't take it literally. I was just making a point because that
no.
was the first visual which appeared on our screen, by the way. Yes, carry on.
I can't see that.
Carry on.
But let me just, on a more historical note, tell you that after the Great Plague of England, London, people started the Victorian way of greeting each other, bowing down, taking off your hat, and the traditional British way of greeting each other changed into a more Victorian way, where a gentleman would take off his hat, or the woman would make a gesture with her dress. So whenever there is a pandemic, wherever there is a ailment, people tend to start new forms of greeting or go back to greetings where there is less physical contact. Namaste, I think, is a very ancient Vedic way of the traditional Namaste coming from your heart, and I salute the oneness in you. So it's a great thing. But there is the fact is what Adil has said, what Mr. Gupta said before that, and what the actors have said. We have to wait and watch, because sometimes we tend to overreact in the present. Nobody knows what the future is. And the most important takeaway from this is that the human race is vulnerable, and the human race can be influenced by by pandemics which are beyond our control.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We are a vulnerable race. So Wasbir, let me come back to, since you always referred to me as a politician, while I am not in politics actually.
You will be.
So
you were,
the most
and
important
you will
thing
be.
is
This
how
is
do we
brief interregnum.
Okay, well, Wasbir, I take pleasure. I hope you pass that on to my future opponents. But let me tell you how we revive the economy and how we look ahead. Because the economy cannot be plundering the natural resources of our land. And you will see whether any movement which comes out in the future would be to protect the land and its resources. And we cannot go by the whims and fancies of New Delhi or the West, which is only interested in exploiting our resources, but we get nothing in return. So it is very important that we go back and look at where our strengths are. Like Modi's Namaste is our strength, so is herbal medicine, so is agriculture, so is environment.
Let us not go
so let's
into
try
all
to
of
be
that.
India and not be China.
Okay. Now on a different note, Rajiv Gupta, perhaps we are looking at a world that will use a lot of technology. You are a technocrat. Now, point is, this automation is also going to come. You said you were excited right at the beginning, but my worry is this increasing automation will also bring in job losses. If the recession triggered by this virus, if the recession triggered by this pandemic is going to cost jobs, the innovation resulting out of this pandemic, that is automation, will also add to more job losses. So this is a critical situation. It's a very, very difficult situation staring at us.
Yes, I agree with you that in the long run, technology will bring in a lot of job losses. However, it also brings up a new opportunity of reskilling the people. We must remember our Indian demography with a lot of people under the age of 35. If they are reskilled into areas which are actually in requirement, they would add much greater value to the whole process of nation building, of building companies, of building trade and commerce, of building actually also being part of nation building in other nations where there is an aging population. They require human capital, but they require human capital with the right amount of skills. So I think there is a huge opportunity that lies ahead in terms of skilling people in different arenas, which is a real requirement in the new world, in the new norm.
Real requirement, skill, reskilling. That's a very interesting point Rajiv Gupta is making. Now, Kapil Bora, coming to you, what Adil said that, in fact, 2 days or 2 to 3 days back, he was on the program, Adil, you had told me during the show that one of the international movie projects, film projects got completed during the times of the COVID. During the pandemic, a full film was completed. It's a big budget film which was completed during the pandemic. Now he's saying that he has got a proposal. Now the singers are already into the virtual world. They're doing online concerts. Now, how is the world of entertainment going to change, particularly the world of films? Of course, not many people may go to the theaters in the coming days. And watching films on television or on your mobile handset could be the new normal.
Yeah, but it's become a normal, whether the pandemic is there or not, because the OTT platforms, people are watching a lot of great stuff on the OTT platforms. I personally prefer watching a lot of web series and beautiful films from all over the world on the OTT mediums. So that is kind of normal for the avid film goer. And the good thing about this is people are getting so addicted to these mediums and addicted to quality cinema and quality web series here that now they will all crave for good films and good content and original quality films or other products.
Right. That brings me to a question, Kapil.
Yeah.
You are talking about how the OTT platforms are getting popular, and you are yourself saying that you have witnessed. I'll come back to Adil with this same question. You are saying that you are enjoying some fantastic films, fantastic content on the OTT platform. My question is, what about the film industry, for example, in our home state, Assam? It was just beginning to look up. Do you think now the challenge will be to, unless you produce good content, why was the Assamese film industry doing so badly in the last couple of years? It was because the content was pretty bad. Then the trend was changing. We have got some fantastic films coming. So therefore people were just about going back to the theaters when this whole thing happened. Now, if one has to popularize the OTT platform as far as Assamese films are concerned, I think it will be a huge challenge. We have to come up with quality product. Do you agree with this or not?
Yes, but we have a good set of directors, very good original people who come up with original and quality product. So I think this time will be right for them, for these directors who are new and who have all original ideas and concepts and a nice way of making films, the proper way of filmmaking.
Yeah,
so I think this will be a very good time, but we'll have to just wait and watch for a little while. But I think it'll be a good time for people who make good cinema.
So you're basically saying that it's time for producers and directors in the Northeast to really apply their mind from now on.
Absolutely. As far as Assam is concerned, I think that would be a right time.
This is the right time to apply their mind. Adil, you think so? I'm coming to you, Japum, in a minute. Adil Hussain, what are your thoughts? A lot of good films on OTT, but if you take regional cinema, they will have to keep up with the quality.
That is one question, but content cannot be created unless we can execute the content on the floor of the studios. Yes, across the country, not only in Assam, but also very much in Assam, that we had an issue of the weakness in the script level writing, in the writing level. But I would like to point to, I wish I had heard properly to the other panelists because the sound is very, very feeble on my headphones. But what I would like to say is that maybe the film fraternity and certain experts, technocrats, technology, those who are very good with that, and the administration, those who can execute different departments, including the security department, to find a way out, like in England, they have found a way out. that how we can run the film industry, put our heads together, brainstorm a strategy so that we can start shooting film, maintaining the required precautions which had been given by the WHO, not immediately, but when we would know that, as they said in BBC article, that we screen the actors, the crew, and people, and the place where
Right.
we shoot. Think of contents which are not, which does not, where we don't have to go to too many places, public spaces,
Yeah,
but we can
That is
shoot.
very important
But
also because of the daily
need-
workers, you see.
It would require a lot of brainstorming in order to restart the film industry, not
Lot
only
of-
in Assam, but everywhere,
absolutely.
but definitely in Assam.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now this question, Jarpum Gamlin, this whole pandemic has brought the focus back on the underprivileged. It has brought the focus back on the needy. But today we are in a lockdown, but the people who are suffering are the poorest of the poor, the migrant workers, the poorest of the poor, the needy. That is the reason why government is supplying food, that is the reason why NGOs are providing food and so on. But my question is lawmakers. Let us bring into the role of the lawmakers. In the days ahead, this situation is not going to end overnight. What kind of a new normal do you see for the lawmakers, for the elected representatives? What should be the new, instead of political bickerings, do you see that for a long period now, opposition and the ruling parties must work together for the benefit of the people, forget about winning elections, at least for the time being?
Absolutely. I think the whole equation has changed, and especially when the disease itself is invisible. I think enemy is invisible and we don't know whom we are fighting actually. And getting a vaccine is almost 10 to 12 months away. So therefore, I think we have very little choice but to cooperate with each other, and it's not a time for politicking at the moment. However, even the ruling incumbent should be very careful that they should not get into theatrics of showering flowers or lighting of diyas and all. I think it's not going to help us. I think what's going to help us is actually ensuring that basic medical facilities are available in most of the cities, most of tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3 cities now. I think we need to penetrate faster than the virus is penetrating. I think that's the most important part.
Okay, I'll have to go.
We have been reading about it. I think we should.
Right. I'll have to go for a break, but very quickly, Pradyut Dev Burman, what is expected of the lawmakers now? What should be the new normal for the lawmakers, for the people's representatives?
There are two things which, Wasbir, I want to make it very clear. First, cancel all elections for the next 1 year, because our immediate aim should not be about winning elections, but about getting over this pandemic. Second, announce a national government where you have people from the opposition and from the government working together, maybe headed by the Prime Minister, but with the leaders of the opposition, and working not as political parties, but as a national government of India, irrespective of parties. And the second part, what Jarpum has very rightfully said, the problem, coronavirus itself doesn't kill many people. The problem is we do not have enough infrastructure right now, and when there is a sudden outbreak or surge of the pandemic, then it overwhelms our existing medical infrastructure. Hence, it's very important for us to concentrate all the money which is spent during elections, with big hoardings and with flowering of petals and making noise from your balcony. It is better that we concentrate all our resources in upgrading our medical infrastructure system. And Mr. Gupta very rightfully said.
Yeah, I think I'll have to go for a break, but
we need to now empower people into a new skill set.
Empower people into a new skill set and, divert all your resources to creating health infrastructure. Don't go away. I'll go for a short break. When I come back, I'll talk to Adil Hussain, Rajiv Gupta, Kapil Bora on what is the expectation from politicians and the political class. Don't go away. I'll be right back. welcome back. Adil Hussain, often we see whenever the parliament session starts, discussions never take place. The opposition never allows a proper discussion to take place, irrespective of whichever is the party in power or who is the opposition, that doesn't matter. But most of the times, the opposition just does not allow proper discussion to take place. Now, what is your expectation as a conscious citizen of this country? How do you expect Parliament to behave or our state assemblies to behave now post-COVID? Because our entire world has been suffering because of that. The entire economy has been disrupted. We don't know what future awaits our children as far as education is concerned. Every aspect of life has been impacted. So what is your expectation from the people's representatives?
Well, Wasbir, as they say, the great wise people is to say that crisis, when a human being faces crisis, faces a crisis, we grow faster. And when a country faces a crisis, we grow faster. That means, as human beings, what is better for us? What is better for the rest of the society?
Yeah.
Any government, all governments in the world are going through. They are going through a very difficult time, no matter who is leading that government at this time. Apart from very few, I have read few things that some governments have found over New Zealand government and other few of the countries I don't remember. But as Pradut says very rightly, that we have to forget about political parties' differences and come together and especially think of those people, those who are underprivileged ones. You and I are privileged with sitting in a house and having resources to eat and, all that. But, and figure out, like, for example, if I as an individual can figure out how to restrain myself, my desires and my habit and greed to stop in order to save resources, we have to find the political parties have to find a way out to not to waste money on unnecessary things, whatever those are, and truly, and that will also dictate how they will be successful in the next election, whenever that is. As Pradut says, maybe we should postpone the election. I don't know. I'm not a political scientist, so I have no idea. But still, it makes sense to me that we should forget political difference and find a way out to bring the country together, especially those who are underprivileged, the working class, the farmers, the construction workers, the rickshaw pullers, and 60% of the country.
True. That's true. Rajiv Gupta, for the trade and business is going to be affected. Look at the tourism industry, hospitality industry across the world. India, look at Northeast, everything is absolutely shut. And for several months together, I don't think anyone is going to travel around the world. And maybe a COVID certificate will be mandatory for anyone to buy an air ticket. So, in this situation, Rajiv Gupta, making laws, proper laws, the proper behavior will be extremely important. Rajiv Gupta, can you hear me?
No, I can hear you now.
Yeah. So the question
Yes, I can hear you.
The question, Rajiv Gupta, is that, every aspect of trade and business has been impacted. Nobody may be able to travel. The trade and industry, tourism sector hit. Now my question is, what kind of a behavior, what kind of laws, what kind of, focus you expect from the political class, from our elected representatives?
So, as I said earlier, there's got to be a lot of technology transformation that is going to take place. And from a political representative point of view, everybody needs in the government also to understand that this transformation requires a lot of, one of the greatest things that it will require is internet bandwidth. If we look at the transformations in education, the way education, learning and teaching is going to take place, the way trade fairs are going to take place, we must understand that business has to continue. Seminars, conferences, trade fairs are all important aspects. Buyer-seller meets, all important aspects of how business continuity will be established. However, while technology is there and is being developed to have virtual trade fairs, to have conferences and seminars which will give you a very actual live experience, on-ground experience. However, there is a dearth of good quality internet bandwidth available.
So you want the government to focus their attention on that?
We require the political will.
Political will
Yes,
is
the
fine.
political will to
time,
ensure that the national broadband policy.
Okay, national broadband policy, because a lot of things will be done online, everything, remote everything. Earlier when we used to think about the remote, we used to think about the television and the air conditioning remote. Now it is remote everything. That is the issue.
Correct.
Kapil Bora.
Yeah, I think
Remote everything, and internet is going to be the main focus for that.
Okay.
Or
Kapil.
main requirement, main
Absolutely.
raw material.
Right. Kapil.
I think everyone needs to focus on their area of operation with utmost honesty. I think that is very, very important.
And flexibility.
And flexibility. And now that people have seen that you're not above nature, you're not above circumstances which you might come across. So I think people need to focus on things, on their work with utmost honesty, be it in front of the camera or when a politician, formulates policies for the nation. Everything, it has to be kept, the interests of the people have to be kept in mind first, above your own interests. So now you must remember that you're not above anything, you're not above nature, so you must be honest enough to be in front of the camera with utmost honesty to the emotion of the part. And when politicians do or when businessmen do, everyone has to think about the general good, about people in general, and not just the personal and selfish interests only. I think this period will definitely teach us this.
Absolutely. Now, Pradut Debbarman, as citizens, we always insist or always press for our rights, but we hardly talk about our responsibilities. Similarly, the opposition parties or the opposition forces, I would say, in the country always tries to criticize a government even if there is not enough reason to criticize. You cannot be critical of each and everything that the government does. The government does not do everything wrong. It's after all, at the end of the day, it's a system. Now, what will be the new normal? What will be the behavior? What should be the behavior of every ordinary citizen? Now, the health minister of Assam, Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma, in a press conference, he's talked about how people spit right, left and center. You cannot even paint a road divider. You paint a road divider, it does not stay clean even for half an hour. People just spit there. So is this the behavior? 21st century, we have to talk about this. We have to talk about these basic things. So what is the new normal?
So, Wasbir, can I ask you, is your question about the role of the role of the opposition,
role of the society, role of the people,
spit on the road?
Role of everybody, ordinary man.
So you don't want me to answer. You don't want me to answer on the role of the opposition. So,
you answer everything. Your role of the opposition as well.
Social behavior. Okay, so because you had asked it was a two-tier question, that's why I wanted to be clear before I answered it. First of all, it's incorrect. That's why I've said earlier that I think the time has come where we suspend elections for the next 1 year and the ruling government and the opposition come to an all-party formula where under the Prime Minister, we can have a national government to counter the COVID situation. I think that is the way ahead, rather than looking at personal goals. Personal goals can be set aside, and we look at a political class with the opposition and the government working together as a national government.
Okay,
coming back to the behavior of the social behavior.
Yeah, carry on.
The social behavior. See, social behaviors don't change overnight. If you see what was Europe in the early 20s, it was a very dirty place. Then the government took massive measures where hygiene, personal behavior was stressed upon. And today, let's be very honest, certain parts of India are a lot cleaner than certain parts. There are also geographical and regional behavior. We need to restart by concentrating on cleanliness, hygiene, and this can only happen when we have people from industry, people from the film industry, from the business, from the political class. Our religious places are one of the filthiest in the country, barring gurudwaras. So we need to start at all forum and ensure that there is hygiene and cleanliness. This cannot only be left to a certain section to handle.
Absolutely. Let us not generalize. Let's not generalize saying that every religious place is filthy. That is not correct also. But Jarpum Gamlin...
But let's be very honest. Wasbir.
Tell me.
Let's be very honest. I am a Hindu. I go to Banaras. It is not clean.
Let's not go into that debate.
There are things which we need to look into as well.
Absolutely. But
Gurudwaras are the cleanest.
Jarpum Gamlin, you know, the idea of a national government, no elections, it's easier said than done, isn't it? Because which political party, which politician will, give it a pass? You know, which politician will not like to grab the opportunity of contesting and winning an election?
Not really. I think in that sense, Wasbir, you are portraying group of politicians, the category to be very selfish, which is incorrect actually if you look at it. I think in this kind of crisis, I think this crisis is as good as I think World War I and II put together in terms of death toll. So therefore, I mean in terms of the economic impact. So therefore, I think given the scenario that we have at the hand and in going forward 3-4 months down the line, I think we would have to handle this crisis. Therefore, I think with a definite time frame in mind, I think we can have a national government, and which is quite possible. I'm sure most of the political parties would agree to that. I think I don't see any doubt about it. Therefore, I think
so Jarpum also thinks it is possible. Adil, would you like to see such kind of a government where, but at least let us see the opposition and the ruling party working together. Let's begin with that at least. Is that happening? As an observer, as somebody who is observing.
Everything is possible if the interest of the nation is in the center. You know, everything is possible. If I can work with my neighbor who I don't like, because the society, the colony that I live in needs to be, cleaned or something. So I think it is a matter of giving up, as I said in the beginning, that giving up your personal interests, your personal gain a little more, and then allow the sense of service into the consciousness of the political, not only the political party, but of course the political party, because they become the news, they become our role models, and unfortunately, right from the time that I have gained consciousness, the realities that I remember, there are very few people, those who have become models, role models in the political class. Most of the time, it is corruption and corruption and corruption and corruption and greed and all that. So there are very few people. But I hope this is the time that the crisis is, this is the time, this is an opportunity for all of us to change the image of the political class so that the people, those who are educated, those who want really, would like to do something for the country, join politics and change just such a bad image of political class.
Right. Kapil Bora, don't you think that picking up from what Pradyut Debbarman is saying, what Jarpum is saying, and now what Adil Hussain is saying, do you get this sense that this could be an opportunity actually awaiting the political class to change their image and bring about a new kind of politics in our country?
Exactly. In this time of crisis, I think this is the right time for role models to emerge in the political scenario, because since last few decades, people have been like politicians are not good, politicians are not the right kind of people. I mean, these are the kind of things which have plagued the minds of the common man. I think this is the right time when the whole world is in the midst of a huge crisis, when there's a question of life and death, a lot of uncertainty. I think this is the time, the right time for the politicians to come forward and, as Pradyut has said, forget elections and everything for the time being at least, and talk about human health and human existence in particular, and come out with a lot of good role models for the future, so that the whole idea that the human mind, that the common man has about politicians changes forever.
Okay. Rajiv Gupta, a lot of people will think that these are good ideas, but these are utopian ideas.
No. So, coming back to what has been just suggested by the other panelists in having a common forum and a common, without having any political parties, is a great idea. And if we look at trade and commerce, business and flourishing, I'll take you back a little back to the early 80s, when the Indian software industry had just started coming up. And if we look at, everybody gave up their individualistic feelings, and a body called NASSCOM was formed. It is this body where everybody who was in the software industry, from the TCS of the world and the Infosys that have developed, became part of it. Small, big, everybody. And that is why today it is one of the forerunners in the world. So similarly, if we have a national body at the top, without any political bickerings, and look at nation building first, I think we can go a long way in all aspects, as has been suggested.
So you are saying that that is possible. But Pradyut Dev Burman, what would you call those people? Pradyut, what would you call those people who would reject your idea of a national government as a pipe dream?
Wasbir, if people who think that what I'm suggesting is utopian and who reject this idea, I will tell them one thing. We all agree to raise our salaries in the parliament. We all agree when it suits us to have benefits and perks. So when there is no dispute amongst opposition and the government, when we agree to raise our pension, our salaries, our perks, our foreign junkets, so why can't we agree this time, when more people have actually died in India than actually at the Kargil war, more people have died during this pandemic, why can't we think for a brief period, I'm not saying it should be in perpetuity, have a national government, suspend elections and come together, because if this country does not survive, how do we survive as individuals or as parties?
Okay, Adil Hussain, your final comments, but new normal could impact us in many ways. And so if, new normal, who knows? I have been projecting myself, been playing the role of a devil's advocate by saying that this national government is not possible. But I might be proved wrong, because that might be the new normal. Who knows?
Well, as they say, that extreme situation demands extreme measures. And so it seems like extreme, but it's a very, very and I would say that it's one of the ways that we can think about it. I think Pradyut has brought in the very interesting and extremely important aspect of how we should think together. And we need people who value integrity, who value honesty, who value service over personal interest, service to other people, not only to their personal coffers, but other people. And I am a very optimistic person, and I'm sure, and with the wisdom that we have as a country, as an ancient country, that we will go over it and will find a way. Otherwise, I somehow have a feeling that this COVID-19 will topple all kinds of systems, including the political system that we have, including the election system that we have.
Yes.
The kind of way that elections are held, the money which comes in, and people, those who are not even fit, they can come in and contest, even they are not,
So-
those who cannot
So
you know,
a change-
apply for a government job.
A change-
Everything has to change. There has to be a
Everything-
radical shift.
Radical shift, and who knows, that could be the new normal. Jarpum Gamlin, your final comments, 20
Yeah.
seconds. Jarpum.
I think as soon as possible, I want stimulus package for the northeastern states on two sectors, one on health, and two on tourism. And especially, I think it's about time with the COVID-19 still on. I think it's about time that we should look at the domestic tourism very seriously, and stimulus package to be given to all the northeastern states. Number one. Number two, and health sector. I think given the expose we had seen this time
Okay.
about the condition of the
All
health
right.
infrastructure in the northeast, I think there's another sector that we need a major stimulus.
Very quickly, Rajiv Gupta, your final comments. What is your prediction? What could be the world look like in the days ahead? Very quickly.
Well, the final comment I would say is that we should all look all the changes very positively. We should embrace them, we should accept them, and we should move ahead as understanding that these are going to be the new normals.
Okay. Very positive note there, Kapil Bora.
Well, I would like to believe, I don't know whether it's a wishful thinking, but that we as a human race will emerge as a race which is very sensitive and kind, more sensitive and kind than what we were before this pandemic broke out. And on a personal level, I think cinema, after watching a lot of good cinema, Assamese cinema especially, will emerge, will be concentrating more on quality.
Absolutely. What the last 2 to 3 months have taught us out of this COVID is that there is absolute uncertainty all around. There's been disruption, discontinuity, and upheaval around the world, and India is no exception. Northeast is no exception. But yes, everything has pushing us to a new normal. Let us see whether we can emerge out of this, and what this new normal is going to be. No one knows, because no one can define, or no government can tell us what the new normal is going to be. I'd like to thank all my panelists for participating in this very engaging discussion, and the viewers for watching the show. Good night and goodbye.
Northeast Tonight, brought to you by Oil India Limited, conquering newer horizons.